So we're back and we're dealing with what can we do? And this is the third video in this session. And we're dealing with the subject of what can we do in relationship to our marriage. Now, in order to do that, you have to assess where your marriage is at, which we've already discussed earlier. But you also have to look at where is the level of conflict that's going on in the marriage. And the level of conflict is not the same as the quality of marriage, but it's very important to understand the level of conflict. So there are 5 in conflict resolution theory. There are 5. Now, in regards to our marriage, what you can and can't do is very important. It would be like asking somebody who has just learned to dive off of the diving board at the 3-foot level over the pool to dive off of a 50-foot or 90-foot high dive. The risk and probabilities is just unfathomable, and really is going to end up with damage and hurt. So you go up one level at a time, right? You go up one level at a time and you master the understanding that's involved in that level. Well, in conflict, there are 5 basic levels. Okay? We eventually come to an agreement because the rationale dictates it, and we're able to do that. That's a level 1 conflict. It's very low. Level 2 conflict, there are emotions involved, and unless those emotions get acknowledged by the other party or get expressed in such a way that there's no question that they exist, those emotions dominate the discussion. And so oftentimes, instead of taking responsibility and effectively communicating how we feel, we judge or blame the other person, and then we bring our emotions into that judgment and into to understand and hear the other's feelings without endorsing them. Hearing your own feelings without endorsing them, but allowing the feelings to exist. Okay, so that's a level 2 conflict. Level 1's rational, level 2. Level 3 conflict, now you're going from just having these emotions to the fact that the other person seems to be, as it were, stealing your space. It's stealing your ability to freely feel or freely think. At this juncture, in level 3, you're having a conflict which one person's story eliminates the other person's story, right? So we have a shared space, a shared reality here, and what happens is that wasn't our first date. Actually, we met much earlier, and the two are not in agreement with each other over when was their first date, right? And they're mutually exclusive. Either was that the first date or was that the first date, and they're both vehement about it, and it's kind of a silly discussion, right? But the point being is that the two parties don't come together, and they are mutually exclusive in the narration of their stories, and that's where the emotions abide, right? The emotions abide in the narration of the story. Then you have a level 4 situation. Level 4 situation is when every time you get into any type of conflict, it immediately goes towards blaming and shaming and faulting the other. Change. You always do this to me. You're never going to change. These are indicators that you've got a real crisis on your hands here. And so that's where a level 4 conflict, where there's a mutual incrimination. And a level 5 conflict is where that mutual incrimination becomes violent to the point where it's not just having the other person feel your pain, It's you're wanting to destroy the other person. And every time you think about the other person, it's a negative thought. There's no breathing space, as it were. And now it's a question of who gets to destroy who first. Now that level 5 to level 3, you can't jump from a level 5 where there's actually a desire to hurt the other that is there with you and controls your thought, to a level 3 where you're just dealing with the issue of a mutually exclusive area. You have to go through that level 4. You have to go through the habit patterns and deny yourself the right to exclude the other person's reality. So there's tools in each one of these levels to help you ratchet down the conflict. There's tools in each one of these levels. So it's important to assess where you have the conflict. You always have a conflict. Your worst conflicts, say in the last 6 months, you're using terminology which basically puts the person, it's not just putting the person down, it puts the person in a category from which they cannot recover. Or are you in a level 3 where you're not giving the other person space? You're not giving the possibility that they have an alternative story? Or are you a level 2? Now, all relationships will be subject at times to level 2 reality. Even the most loving, where there become a heated emotion that's involved. And that's fine, because that happens. And that usually happens when the rational issue that's involved is going to cause some damage. There is going to be a consequence to the rational image, the rational issue that's involved. You assess those to determine where we're going from here. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to our next session in our marriage reboot weekend.